Alright, so this week got something pretty cool with using custom brushes again. As you know, I love the brush engine, and we're going to do a kind of a high-tech background where we're going to actually define a line of text as a brush, and then we'll have some fun with it from there. So we'll begin by going into our toolbar, grabbing the text tool here. We're just going to click inside the document and set a text layer. And what I want is a font that's going to have kind of a high-techy look to it. And you can see I've already got it selected here. It's this Bank Gothic. You're certainly free to choose any font you like, but given this is going to be a high-tech theme, we're going to go with something like that. And let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and leave it to medium. And what I'm going to do with that text layer active, I'm just going to hit the 1 and 0 in a very random way. I'm just going to just randomly hit either one of them, just till it goes across the document here. Pretty much like that. So we've got a line of copy, and the idea being that it's just going to be random code that's going to be kind of really painted all over the document. Let's make that a little bit shorter, so I'm going to increase the size a little bit. Let's press Command or Control T, and we'll go ahead and scale it up here. And we'll just do that. Now, what I want to do now is go ahead and define this line of text as a brush. And since we're inside Photoshop, and you know, when you define a brush, everything that's black is going to be, it's going to look at everything that's black on your document, or dark, and everything that's white. Now, it's going to eliminate anything white and make it transparent, and it will only look at the dark areas. Now, that being said, I don't need to make a selection around the text to define it as a brush. I can go under the Edit menu and go to Define Brush Preset, and you'll see that it only looks at that text. So, we'll go ahead and give it a name, click OK. I'm going to go ahead and turn off that text layer. I could go ahead and throw it away. I don't necessarily need it, but you never know when you might need it to redefine a brush or do whatever you're going to need to. So let's go ahead and turn it off for now. We'll reselect that background layer, and I'm going to press Command or Control I because I need to be working on a black background. So we'll just invert the white to black. And let's go ahead and create a new blank layer right above that one. And we're going right here to the toolbar and grab my brush tool. Inside the brush menu, you're going to select the very last brush that was created, which it should be your text, which is right there. And we'll drag over here, and you'll notice that the brush is the preview of that text. So we want to make sure we're painting with a color that we can see. So let's just go ahead and flip the foreground and background colors around to bring white to the front. And if I click once, you'll notice it drops in that piece of that text. Well, if I just click and paint and drag, you'll notice it's giving me an interesting effect, but it's not the effect I'm looking for. So we need to modify the behavior of the brush here. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and open up the brush options. It's this little icon in the options bar right here at the top. And we're going to go in here and activate the shape dynamics. And we want to take the size jitter all the way up to 100%. I'm going to go ahead and leave the control set to off. Normally I'd probably use pen pressure, but in this case I just want it to respond to this setting and not the pen pressure. I'm going to leave all the other settings off. Let's activate the scattering, making sure that both axis is checked on, and I'm only going to scatter around 50%, so it's a very minimal amount, as you can see right there. Now the last thing I'm going to activate right here is the other dynamics, because I want it to jitter the opacity right here. Notice what happens when I take the slider back and forth. You see it kind of messes with the opacity of the brush in a very random way, and that's what I want it to do as I paint on the document. So we're going to take that to 100%, leave the control set to off, and let's go in here and see what we got. Well, I'm going to make that brush a little bit smaller. I'm just going to use my bracket key. Again, one of the better reasons for using brushes when you're painting graphics like this is that you can size it instantly just by using the left and right bracket keys like you would any other brush. So if I just start painting here, you'll notice what's going on. It's kind of randomly painting those letters in there. Varying sizes, varying opacities, looking pretty good. But it's a little too cluttered. There's a little too much going on right there. Well, I could go in here into the scattering and drop that a little bit, but I don't necessarily want to do that. What I am going to do is go into the brush tip shape and increase the spacing. And I'm going to take that all the way to 200%. You know, even more than that, I'm going to take it to 250. So let's close that, and let's just see what we get now. So now it's looking a little bit better. It perhaps is scattering a little bit more, so let's in fact go ahead and drop that scattering to about, let's say, 40. So back in there, let's just start painting. So now it's looking a little bit more like I want it to. So I'm just going to paint a little bit in the center here. And let's do well, about like that. And now I want to be able to apply a layer style to this just to give it a little bit more interest. So I'm going to go into the Layer Styles menu here and choose Outer Glow. And when we're dealing with text like this, you have to use, of course, the matrix green color. You don't have to, of course. You can choose whatever you like. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at that. And I'll take that opacity up to 100. Again, it's a layer style. We can always go back in here and change the color at any time. So, got that color set. Let's go in here and hit OK. And I can go in here and paint a little bit more. I'm just going to paint a little bit up here. We'll get a little bit down here. You know, in fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to undo those. I'm just going to click here, hold down my Shift key, and just drag down. And it kind of scatters it out. You know, it's just the same thing as just holding down. It's just constraining the movement up and down. And right here in the center, I'm going to add a little bit more just to give it a little bit more congested look here, because I'm going to add another element in there in just a moment. So I've got all that scattered in there. So let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer and make this a little bit more interesting by selecting this bottom duplicate. And I'm going to go to the filter menu, go here to blur, motion blur. And you'll notice what's going on. It's giving me a straight across look. I'm going to leave the angle at 0, but you can by all means experiment with different angles and you'll see the different effects it gets all together. So we'll leave that at 0, and I'm going to drop the distance to about 500. It's giving me kind of a really interesting look there. And again, this is on a duplicate layer. There's our text on their own layer. Everything's on its own layer. So now we're going to go back to our original text layer. Let's double click that layer to highlight that text, and let's put some actual text in there. So I'm going to type hi tech. Press Command and Control T. I'm going to go and scale this up. It is text, so it isn't resampling the text. It's just resizing it in a different way. And we're just going to put that in the center. And let's go ahead and apply the same layer style that's on the rest of the text. So I'm going to go over here in the layers and hold down my Option or Alt key, and then just drag that effects icon to the target layer. And it will apply that layer style on there. So there you get that. So the point here is the brush. Defining that text as a brush and being able to do all this cool stuff with it because it is a brush. And again, as I mentioned, we did these as layer style. So if you don't like the green, you can by all means go in here and change it. Let's go in here and make it a really bright blue, perhaps. Just like that. We'll just take that Option or Alt key and then click and drag to this layer so it matches all the blue color. And there you get a different color altogether in just a matter of seconds. So using brushes, using layer styles makes life a lot easier.